Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Presented by Carolina Lightweights. Come get with us. When the action begins in the studio, our referees for tonight's event are Elgato Azul and Carolina Real Streamers. For the viewers in attendance and Facebook and YouTube users around the world, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Live from the Elgato Azul TV studio in Louisville, Texas, it's time! What's up, slime lovers? Welcome to the Slime Show, baby. I'm your host, Chris, a.k.a. Elgato Azul. A partner in slime over here is Mr. Jamie Dunn, Carolina Lightweights.
What's up, everyone? Welcome in.
Tonight, we're going to be talking how to pattern fish by what you're seeing on the water that day. We've done similar shows before, but this is going to be, if we're going to go kind of go with the basics for if you don't really know the seasonal pattern or the seasonal migration. It's just, I'm showing up at the lake. I know nothing about where I'm at. I'm just going to get on the water and try to figure something out. So that's the way we're going to approach the show today. Jamie, how you doing, buddy?
Man, we're doing good, man. Glad and happy to be here with all of our people. Looks like we got a lot of people over here on our YouTube side coming in the house to be with us tonight.
Yep, we got Rich Segarra in the house. What's up, Richie? We got Alex Texas Fishing. What's up, Alex? We got Richard Green. Got his face half chopped off. Cancer surgery. Hope you get better soon.
Yes, brother.
We got Eagle Eyes Tienda. What's up, Juan? Think we might be getting Juan on next week on the show for our Operation Vets with Nets podcast. That ought to be a good show. We're going to have Rich, Juan, I think, maybe Leland, and I'm not sure who else. I haven't touched base with Rich, but should be a fun show. We got Bruce Journey in the house. Welcome in, Bruce. We got Chuck Watkins over at Bite Lights. What's up, Chuck?
Up, buddy?
Bite Lights worked awesome on my planer boards, buddy. Y'all don't know, Chuck makes bite lights for your planer boards or your rod tips. It's a rechargeable LED light. Lasts over 50 hours. Awesome product. So
it is, man.
Go get you some if you fish at night or, We got Paul Story. Welcome in, Paul. We got Little River. How you doing, buddy? We got Rippin' Lips Fishing. Welcome in, partner. Looks like you smashed your face. Hope you're doing better. West Texas Cat Addict. Welcome in, buddy. Bending Tips Catfishing. What's up, bro? That's one of our Carolina Lightweights teammates. Patrick Gilliland. We got Draco. What's up, Draco? Welcome in, buddy. And that is it. So appreciate you guys stopping in, spending some time with us.
Always a lot of fun for sure.
So Jamie, let's say you're not going off of what, for instance, this time of year, let's say you're going to go fish, I don't know, the river or the lake. I'm sure they're both probably different, but let's say it's this time of year, fish move a ton when the water's hot. Yep. They won't be where you saw them last week. A lot of the times you got to throw out the seasonal migrational stuff because they're so spread out.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we wanted to do the show. What's one of the first things you do when you hit the water? And other than where you think the migration might be, what are you looking for when you hit the water?
Well, first thing I'm looking for, brothers, I want to know the water temperature. All right. That's going to tell me one thing. The second thing I want to look is how the water's moving. What's my tides? Is it the same as it was last week, or is it opposite than it was last week? That's going to tell me basically the area I want to go to and start looking around. Um, say the river. Okay, last week the tide was falling. This week the tide was rising. That tells me there's a different location I want to go to. The reason is because my bait's going to be different than was last week. Okay,
Right. Because there's multiple patterns on any given day, right?
That's it.
So
That's it.
Are you what's the thing that's going to make you decide which pattern you're going to go after that day?
Well, when I look at how my water's moving, Chris, I want to know if I want to go to the wider part of the river, the more narrow part of the river for more current, or the wider part that don't have as much current. Well, last night we couldn't find them in the wider part. Right where I knew I thought they were going to be, they wasn't there. So I went to the narrow part of the river that had more bait fish that moved up in it. The water was moving faster, and I ended up finding more fish. Now, on that point is that narrow part of the river don't have as many ledges. Okay, so the fish were a little bit more spread out. But I was able to catch a lot more fish in that area because of those more bait fish. The current was moving faster. They were more active in that area last night.
Yeah.
And there wasn't as much, structure in that area. It was more of a sandy, flat bottom.
Yeah.
So I knew that that's sort of what I was given last night. That's where they were going to be.
You're marking a lot of bait when you get there. Or when you get on the water, you're looking.
That's it.
Okay.
That's
Stonefly says he looks for birds. Where there are birds, there are bait. And that works for a lot of fisheries.
Yeah.
But not on my home fishery, because the dump is next to the lake and all of our birds are over at the dump. So I can go to any other lake, and if I'm there in the evening or the morning, I can see where the birds are working. And yes, you can use them as a fish finder, because it's not just where the bait is, but there's fish predating on the bait, pushing it up to the surface, and then the birds are working. But my home lake has the dump right at the lake, so that throws that variable out the window. All right. So when I hit the lake, the first thing that I'm looking for, especially this time of year, if there's no real seasonal migration, it's all water temperature based on a lake. So fish, no matter what time of year it is, they want to be comfortable. And this time of year in Texas, our water temperature could be 93, 94 degrees. It was 92 degrees when I hit the lake last week. And fish want to be comfortable. Now, there's always going to be fish up shallow, regardless of temperature. But there's generally, when you hit the water, you're going to see a certain zone that the fish are relating to on that lake on that particular day. I could go on a Monday and they might be at 23 feet. I could go on Wednesday and it might be 16 feet. So that's the very first thing that I'm going to be looking for when I get on a lake. What's the magic depth for that day? Mm-hmm. Where do you look? I generally start looking on ledges and points, not necessarily to catch my fish, but to find where the bait is orienting that day. And I know that if I go out on the point and the bait is at 16 feet, I can move around the lake at 16 feet and I can locate fish. It's guaranteed. It works on every lake I go to. So that's the first thing that I look for. I look for the magic depth for the bait that day. The other factor that we deal with in Texas is the thermocline, and which can make fishing tricky this time of year, because fish, a lot of threadfin shad, which is what a lot of the fish are predating on this time of year. Threadfin will move offshore and get out in open water and just suspend. which makes them difficult. There's nothing that you can really hone in on to find. So it can make finding good groups of fish difficult. Uh, when I see that thermocline, what I will do is I find that magic depth that the fish are orienting to, and then I move to that depth. I get out of that deep water where they're suspending, and I'll move up the lake and hit those depths. So, yeah, Rich, we have a big thermocline in our lake. And so last week, our thermocline was right at about 20 feet. And usually that's a good zone to fish, right at that thermocline.
Yeah.
And that is, but they don't always follow that game plan. So the thermocline was at 20 feet when we fished on the show last week, but the fish were orienting to 16 feet on all the ledges, on all the points. So I went and scanned real heavily before I located where the majority of the bait was 16 feet. And I moved up the lake. Now, I did stop at places where I'd caught a lot of good fish before just to stop and check. But it wasn't until I got to 16 feet where my graph just lit up. And I showed y'all pictures of the graph last week while I was fishing. It was crazy how many fish and how much bait was there. But that is something that you can definitely use. It doesn't matter where you are, what part of the country, which lake you're going to. If you get on the water, first thing I do is I try to find that magic depth of bait.
You know, Chris, going back to last week's show, very interesting. You know, one thing also, like here on the river, being close to the ocean, that I didn't hit up on is having that salt water moving in and out.
Yeah, you know, so it's like a stun zone, right? That's kind of like a thermocline.
That's it. And one thing last week, no, we haven't had a lot of rain. You know, we've had that to back up into that fresh water a little bit more. Now, when we get a lot of rain, that pushes that salt water back out. Well, last week we looked and they were on the ledges. I'm stopped from top to bottom. They went anywhere from 10 to 20 foot. Now, that salt water line last week was perfect for us. We knew exactly where that stun zone was. We knew just where to fish, and it worked out perfect. And it was amazing that the difference in the weather patterns, you know, that we were like watching it live. We were seeing basically you were kind of having the same thing we were last week.
Yeah, every time we'd catch a fish, y'all would catch a fish. Almost identical time.
Yeah.
I catch one, y'all catch one. I double up, y'all would double up. It was almost like the fish were on the same exact program across the country.
That's it. And I found that very interesting. And that's like, it was how daylight is still in daylight. We were in the dark, but it was still working along the basis of that same thing, how they were doing.
Yep. So for guys that aren't real familiar with what a stun zone is, Jamie, he's fishing around where the salt water meets the freshwater. And that stun zone is a little area where the freshwater fish, they start getting in that. It's a little bit too salty and it starts making them lethargic. It makes them where they can't function properly. It makes them hazy. And the predatorial fish will sit on just the outskirt of that so that the bait fish can't get past them, but they kind of got to stay in that area that makes them weak. And it's just a predation zone. It's the same zone that guys that fish thermocline, it's the same type of zone where you'll see a lot of predatorial fish sitting above the thermocline, above bait, trying to push the bait down into that stun zone and get an easy prey. Rich had a good question. He said, do you find running suspended baits above the thermocline is a smart tactic? That's a great tactic. But the only problem with that, Rich, is if you're not on a piece of structure where there's a thermocline like coming out of the structure, like let's say like a ledge or a point. If you're on that, that's a great place to run your boards suspended, just above or right in that thermocline. But a lot of the times this time of year, fish move off a structure and they get out in that open water. And to try to suspend over those fish, I used to do it. It's almost impossible to stay on them because there's nothing to hold the bait in a certain area. They're just moving. So you'll see 100 yards that way, you'll see the fish surface and they'll boil. And then 5 minutes later, they go back under and they're gone. And then, they'll pop back up 100 yards up the lake. So when you're dragging, you can't just haul ass over there to where they popped back up. So I've found that I actually will either find a piece of structure that's popping up out of that thermocline and then fish that zone, or I'll move up the lake where that thermocline is, and I'll fish that where you'll only see like a foot, maybe 2 feet of thermocline on your graph, and then I'll fish there. But yeah, fishing that thermocline zone is a great tactic if you can stay on the fish. That's the key.
Going through looking.
Brandon Ladd finally able to make the show. Looks like him and his brother teamed up and got him a first place victory. And big fish of the tournament, 62-pound river monster. Congrats, boys.
Yes, congratulations to them. Good work.
The thermocline on water. So Depth Finder is going to tell you where the thermocline is. It's going to be depending on how much wave action there is, if there's not a lot of waves or wind, it's going to be a hard line. Everything below it's going to be a different color. It's going to be fairly similar depth all over the lake. You might find areas where it's no thermocline, and you might find it a little bit shallower as you move up into hot water. But it's usually, if you're out deep, it may be in 30 feet. As you move up the lake, it may be in 20 feet. So you find it with your graph. It's real easy to spot. What it looks like on my Humminbird, let's say you're going with your big motor and you're motoring around. All those little bubbles that show up on your graph, they're like, it just looks like fuzz that you went over. That's what that thermocline will look like, except thicker. It just looks like bubbles on your graph, just dots, and it gets real differentiated from the water above it. I should have had, I'm going to take some pictures of that, and I'll try to show those on one of these shows.
Yeah, once you ever see it, you'll know it for sure. It's definitely something that you'll be able to spot with no problem. Lake Marion, brother, yeah, you can definitely drag Lake Marion with no problem. I will tell you, it's 100,000% more structure on that end than there is on Lake Moultrie. I like Lake Moultrie a lot more. I know that area a lot better. Catch a lot of bigger fish on Lake Moultrie, but you can definitely do it. Just be careful up on that end right now, brother.
Yeah, so fish will be above the thermocline because there's no oxygen below it. Predatorial fish will dive into it. You'll see on your graph, if you're around a bunch of scaly fish, you'll see them diving. They'll orient above that thermocline, and the bait will often be below them. They'll push that bait, and you'll see these hard V's. That's fish diving in and hitting that threadfin shad in that thermocline. Catfish are doing the exact same thing. They're sitting just kind of hanging around, waiting for something easy because they're lazy.
Yeah.
If you can find fish on a ledge with a thermocline on it, that's a great place to catch fish because it's easy to target that ledge. Those fish are above, pushing stuff down into that thermocline, and you can fish right on that thermocline line in the stun zone. I'll put my baits actually in the thermocline where those fish are diving down. Now, they won't dive more than about a foot or two into it. You'll rarely see fish 5-6 feet down into the thermocline. They just stay out of that. Bruce wants to know, is that brackish water you're in, Jamie?
It all depends. Mostly it is brackish water where I'm fishing at. I like that style of area on the river. You can say it's how far south I go or how far north I go. I like to be within that brackish water range for sure.
What's up, Ed? What's up, Jody? Welcome in.
There is definitely some big fish to be caught in the brackish water area that a lot of people overlooks. I myself have won a lot of tournaments by fishing brackish water. And there is some pretty good sized catfish that lay in that area just for the reason that Chris was talking about. They're able to really feed up real good in that brackish water area in that stun zone.
Little River says, I run my bait suspended under planer boards on slip floats. That's the way I used to do it out in open water this time of year. If you're on them, it's a successful way to do it. You can stay on them better if you're on a piece of structure, and you can stay on them probably even better if you move up the lake and fish the stun zone that is at the bottom where you can drag expansive areas. If you can find them fishing that stun zone and, like, for instance, last weekend we were in 16 feet. There was a gazillion fish there. You went out deep. I couldn't hardly even find fish. It was not easy, but when I got up there where I got, it was on. So, bank fishing for blues. Gordon David Phillips says, when do you think it'll get better? Right now, you can do good. I would go at night. I would get up in that 15-foot range, somewhere in that range, 10, 15-foot range in Texas right now. That's probably going to be your best bet at night. I wouldn't throw deeper than that because fish are coming up out of that. They're not really in that water right now. You find them out in deep water, they're going to be suspended, and they're going to be on the move. It's not like you can just target them very easily out there. It's not like in the winter where you can go fish, the river channel or something like that out deep.
Yeah. Chris, I noticed too last week our fish are pretty close within the same depths of each other last week when we were fishing.
Our water temperatures were very similar. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can only say it's got to be water temperature. They're looking for that comfort zone.
Yep.
Now, you're on a river. I was on a lake, but it is interesting. They were in the same. We had a very similar catch rate.
Yeah. We were talking about it earlier, and it was really amazing. Everybody got to see, okay, you had rain, we had rain. There was systems in the area. We got lucky and kind of got ours went south of us. And the wind changes. Now, we only had 2 wind changes, but you had several different wind changes that we were talking about. And it was just like you couldn't really understand, but man, you're almost across the country from where I am, but our fishing was identical almost. And I was, like you said, on a river, and you were on a lake, how similar it was, how they were biting. And it was very weird.
every time I looked up, and I'd be like, fish on, and then y'all'd have one on too. So
Yep.
I guess they were going off the same program because of our water temperature is very similar. The only thing that was different is there's an hour difference between us.
Yeah.
And that does make a big difference for my fishing. Our fish won't even bite when the sun's up.
Yeah.
Sun's got to be going down or coming up this time of year, or you won't catch them. It's a short bite window when the sun's up, which anytime you go live, it's always good when you get that first fish. And we had one on when I hit live. We had a rod go down, which what a relief.
Yeah, we were talking. We everybody got to see us. What we say, kind of in action last week. It was a lot of fun. Because we were sitting there talking. We were looking at the graph, myself and James, and when we pulled up on this spot, I said, "Okay, man, I think this is where they're going to be." I said, "We got some good ledges right here." I said, "In the bait, that everything is just right for this one spot." And we pulled up there, and I showed them, man, from the top all the way down to the bottom, man, was just, they were on that ledge. And I told them, I said, okay, this is going to be where they're at. I was thinking maybe, okay, we're going to be in here and we're going to catch 5 or 6 fish. But brother, we caught 25 out of that one spot. They were in there so packed. We were able to pull 25 out of that spot until 3:30 in the morning. It was
y'all were on good fish. I was on dinks. Now there was big fish where I was at. I kept showing the graph pics. I'm like, here's one over 50. This one might be over 60. I mean,
yeah.
They weren't biting for us. The big fish weren't biting. We had a good, we caught, I think, 5 fish in the teens, which in Texas ain't bad, but we caught, I don't know, 15 eaters or so, 5 in the teens. Yeah, they don't stay down there long when they're fishing that thermocline. They go, you can see them on the graph. It is just straight down and straight back up. They ain't hanging out in the thermocline. So, yeah. I always have guys say, just go to the deepest spot in the lake. I'm like, it's like fishing the moon. There ain't no fish down there. You could fish freaking for 10 days straight. You ain't going to catch a single fish out deep. They just not down there. You got to go where they are. And in Texas right now, if you're not fishing the thermocline or just above it, you might catch one 5 feet below it occasionally, but you better be in the right zone or you ain't getting them.
Chris, any sensitivity changes on your electronics from fresh water to brackish water?
I don't fish brackish water, but I'm constantly adjusting my sensitivity depending on how deep I am. Even like depending on the time of year. So in the spring, we got a lot of stuff in the water. I dial it back down. My sensitivity's down because there's a lot of debris in the water. Your graph is very sensitive. It picks all that stuff up. Also, like in the evening, let's say right when it gets dark, and let's say, which wasn't last week, but sometimes I'll be fishing 30 feet deep, and it said right when it gets dark, you get phytoplankton that starts coming up off the bottom, and it looks like the thermocline, and it comes up off the bottom and comes up to the surface, chasing that moonlight, and you got to dial your graph down, or it just washes out with phytoplankton.
So I will say, as far as brackish water, I definitely have to adjust mine because more you get that brackish water, more that water, the current is actually just pushing through there a lot more. And it's just got the bottom, just like you were just talking about, all messed up. It's a lot more muddier. So you definitely have to adjust it than if you were back up in the river a lot more, where it's more settled style water from top to bottom. So when you do get closer to water and that ocean and all that mixing together, you do have to adjust for sure.
Draco said, "What's your favorite baits for dragging?" They caught 20 catfish dragging herring last week.
Yep.
Skipjack herring or just herring?
Just herring. That's real good. For where they're, I believe where they're talking that they're down in Santee, out Black's Camp. That's real good bait from down there. Perch is real good this time of year also, which is good, pretty much year round. But herring and perch right now is definitely on fire down there.
So, Draco, there is no perfect speed to drag baits. I would say 0.5 is just a good starting point.
Yeah.
If it's really cold, I go slow. But when it's really hot, I also go slow. I've just found that really big fish, the big fish, even though their metabolism's fired up, big fish don't like to expend a lot of energy, even when the water's hot. So they're lazy feeders. I give them a little extra time if I'm trying to, catch bigger fish. Really, if I know I'm on a bunch of good fish, I generally go pretty slow. So I was going 0.4, 0.3 last week. I bumped it up to 0.5, 0.6. I don't know if it changed much. I was catching fish at both speeds. Sometimes you just got to play with it. If something's not working, bump it up, slow it down, see if that makes a difference. If it does, stay with it. Sometimes it's just the bumping it up. I think sometimes fish are following you. If you bump it up, they think, oh, he's trying to get away. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
So, just playing with that while you're on the water.
I've seen days
help to put fish in the boat.
Yeah, I've seen days where I've had to bump it up to 1 mile an hour sometimes, which is kind of rare sometimes, but depending on how the water conditions, how much wind I've got and stuff like that. I've seen days where I've had to bump it to, 1 mile an hour to try to get that reaction bite out of them. Make that bait jump around a little bit more.
Makes the bait jump around, get a little extra rattle out of your rattles, calls them in a little better. Also, sometimes they want to check. They're like a cat. They see something trying to get away from them. They'll chase it, try to attack it. That can help you. And they seem to hook themselves when you're going a little faster. Now sometimes you might not catch fish unless you're going slow.
Yeah.
Because they just don't want to chase it. But if they're chasing it and it's moving, generally you hook those fish pretty good. Chuck says Trump's in Charlotte, North Carolina today.
Oh, man.
James Brandon, what's up? James, that's the chief of police. We fished with him a couple times this winter. Had some good old trips, man. Got James a PB of 50. I think he broke it the very next week. Another 50. I'm ready for some cooler weather, guys. This freaking heat wave's ridiculous. Although it's not been that hot here in Texas, but for about a week. Yeah. Well, we've been known to let a few curse words slip. We do try to keep it clean because we got kids watching. Not always, but we do have some kids that do watch. So, all right. So he's seen in Alabama where there is a gap between the bottom of the thermocline and big fish was under it, not above it. I haven't seen that. I'm wondering if that was a phytoplankton line that you were looking at, because I have seen double lines, but usually the one that's above is actually phytoplankton that rises. It's also trying to get out of that thermocline, and it'll rise up, and you can see phytoplankton pretty easy on the graph too if doing it a long time. I used to think, what the hell's wrong with my graph? My graph's breaking. Really? Because sometimes the whole water column looks like phytoplankton. Man, if you're on a full moon, the lake will glow on your graph. I mean, your graph just glows.
We're lucky enough here, Chris. I don't have that problem a lot, even on Santee Cooper. As far as the thermocline, I don't have that problem a lot here. Now, last time I seen the thermocline when I was up on Lake Tillery. Now I saw real good up there, but around here we really don't have that problem with that. That's thank goodness.
Well, Matt Mosley is heading to Vicksburg to fish the freaking river monsters. I hope you're on the road, buddy, because you need to get your ass up there and do some pre-fishing.
Definitely good luck to you, brother.
Vicksburg. It's roaring down there, so we're going to catch a giant. Yep. I'd fish out of that heavy current just in the eddies and stuff. And you know who to keep an eye out for. They're all bumping that water there, so pretty heavy current.
I know a couple of them that's sitting on anchor down there right now that seems to be catching some fish right now, also setting up on some anchor areas, kind of doing what you were just talking about, Chris.
Yeah, I know a lot of the guys they'll catch their smaller ones, which there are 50, 60 pounders. Yep. And then they'll go on anchor to try to get that hundo.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, them guys is definitely going to do it to it down there for sure.
So Bess wants to know, are there any sensitivity changes on your electronics fishing brackish water?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I have to adjust quite a bit because the closer you get to the ocean, the more that bottom is going to be just stirred up. The more the water is going to become muddier. I mean, it's just like from top to bottom, just constantly like a grinder where it's taking that bottom and throwing all that trash everywhere. So, and once you come back inwards, like I said, it's more of a settled tide. It's more of a, lot less of that just blender and all that stuff that's going on. But there's a lot of bait fish, like you were saying, in that stun zone. And those big fish, man, they lay up close to that. And as you get all those little blue crabs, all that little stuff, man, as it gets chunked up off the bottom and moves around, I mean, they're just constantly right there just feeding. Yeah. So if you, a lot of people don't know, man, like I said, I've won a lot of tournaments fishing brackish water. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to stay away from it. Well, there's one of my secrets, guys. Go to that brackish water because I can tell you, there's a lot of big catfish that will lay up in that area.
I've seen a lot of guys showing pictures of crabs being thrown up in that water.
Brother, I'm going to tell you, you look at my live where after I fished that, I mean, of course you got your mussels, but you got these blue crabs, man. You got all these crawdads that's all down in that area that's just getting thrown up and thrown around, man. And the next day, when you look at that live well, it's just amazing at all. Looks like you went to a seafood house with all the blue crabs everywhere. And I'm talking about, not just little ones. I'm talking about big hand size that they try to eat.
Alex, how do you put your baits in the thermocline when dragging?
Well, myself, I'm dragging up above it. I'm setting my planer boards up above that thermocline and dragging up above it. Because I know where I'm going to start on that thermocline, but I know where I'm going to end up at. It's in a lot shallower water sometimes. So it works out. I basically suspended over that thermocline, and as I get shallower, it starts laying down on that bottom.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm doing it.
So, Alex, my game plan for fishing the thermocline, first thing I do is I look for structure that's peeking up out of the thermocline, and I'll try to fish that line where the thermocline is on that piece of structure. So let's say it could be a ledge, it could be a hump. If you find fish on that ledge, you're usually going to find fish that are feeding, predating. that thermocline area. So if you can run that thermocline, now you might have to, if you're pulling planer boards and you're running a ledge, you might have to suspend the ones that are out here and drag bottom with the ones that are straight behind the boat, and the ones that are to the left of the boat. But a lot of times, if I can't find them on that structure, which is often, I mean, a lot of times I got to move up the lake. I move up the lake. I hit that thermocline area where I'm marking only about a foot or two of thermocline on the bottom. And then I fish in it. I fish like right there where that line is. I got baits at the top of that thermocline line, but I also got some that are like a foot into it, because they'll dive. They predatory fish do not have a problem diving into it to feed. They just don't want to sit down in it. So if you're dragging baits 10 feet in the thermocline, you won't catch a single fish.
Yeah. It's definitely a dead zone down there for sure.
Killer B, what's up, buddy? My buddy Bill, he's police officer over in Fort Worth. He's been down in Panama on a kayaking freaking Panama trip. Man. Bill, like to get you on the show and do a kayak show. Bill's a great fisherman. He can catch 10-foot freaking bull sharks, or he can catch 50-pound blue cats all out of his kayak. It's incredible.
Man, that's awesome.
That'd be a good show.
That really would. I bet that's a lot of fun, man, hooking into a big 50 on a kayak. Holy crap.
He calls it Texas sleigh ride.
Oh, man.
So Mosley said it was a lot of fun watching us fish while he was chilling on the couch. Probably having himself a little cocktail.
You know, it was good to do something different like
yes,
that.
Yes, how far off the bottom should he tie his hooks on his jugs? Well, Jeff, make sure if you're fishing with jugs, get out in that thermocline area and fish about 10 feet below it. Mitri Pocket, what's up, bro? Like seeing your son slinging that freaking bait caster. That was pretty cool, man. Mitri's been fishing with me a few times. We got to get you back, buddy.
Draco, the biggest one I've seen personally come out of Santee Cooper in one tournament was 103. The other fish was 106. Now there's been bigger call out there, but I actually had seen those fish.
Nobody can see you.
What's up, buddy?
Jackson's about to start tackle football in a few weeks. Tell him what you're going to do.
I'm going to light their ass up.
All right, go.
Oh,
he's ready
man.
to light him up, man. Oh, man.
I don't even know what to say after that.
That's my boy.
Get him, buddy.
He wants to play safety so he can do the hitting.
That's what I'll
doesn't surprise me. Steve, we're talking just fish in general. We're mostly trophy anglers here, but in Texas, I mean, right now it's not our time of year. It's the only time of year where I'm just trying to catch fish. And I'm still trying to get something big. I want to catch something big, but I'm I also lower my expectations because it's just not easy catching big fish. We still catch some, but it's not a guarantee. Like say October through April for us, it's 100% of our trips we're putting big fish in the boat. This time of year, you got to get lucky. I mean, we marked 3 over 50, but we didn't get them. You know, big fish in Texas, when the water's this hot, they have a really short bite window, and they're lethargic. Even though their metabolism's super fast, they're very lethargic because they just don't want to expend a lot of energy chasing little bait all day. So they'll feed real hard for 30 minutes out of the day, and then they're done. You put a bait right in front of them, they won't eat. They've already eaten. So it works for big fish, works for little fish. It's not just a big fish thing. We caught mostly eaters last week. We caught, I think, 4 or 5 teeners, but mostly eaters on the show. I was around big fish. They just weren't wanting to bite.
Yeah. And you'll have that problem quite a bit, man, for sure.
Yeah, this time of year, if you don't, I mean, you got to be there at the right time with the bait right in front of their face to catch a big fish. They're not going to be it's not going to be a 6-8 hour window where they feed like in the fall or in the winter. It's real short. If you're there at the right time, you'll get them. If not, you just got to cover a lot of water and hopefully get into one that wants to eat.
Yeah. You can mark a lot of big fish, but just like you said, getting them a bite's 2 different things.
Yeah, Gordon, we're talking blue cats, but it's also same case for flatheads. I had buddies that fished the same night as me. They flathead fish. They didn't catch one fish. You know, I mean, there's no guarantees in flathead fishing. Even though they were on fish, they weren't biting. At the same time frame me and Jamie were fishing, the flatheads were not biting at that time. Now, maybe they turned on at 1 or 2 in the morning. They got a short bite window too.
I can actually tell you, man, last week on the live, Chris, we were actually trying to get some flatheads and stuff. The blues were just dominant at that point in time, man. We couldn't even get a flathead to bite. And we were actually targeting a lot of those. But the blues were just tearing it up.
Bill says the summer is tough in Texas. There's no doubt. Short bite windows, fish are scattered. Not easy.
Yep.
I still get the itch. I'm fishing. Just I lower my expectations on fish size. Bendon Tip says his biggest fish today came out of the deepest part of the lake, 40 feet. We've had cooler weather, so the thermocline's flipping right now because it's like, what the hell? It was 100 degrees last week. Now it's 86. It mixes the water. It's a weird deal. I hadn't fished, but I can tell you it will change things. And there is no like model to follow when the water mixes. It's almost like the lake's turning over. There's fish everywhere. There is no stratified zone that they're trying to get into. Jackson ready.
Oh, man, he's ready to get some.
Where's the chair?
Bring the chair. Show him what's up, buddy.
What's up, buddy? You ready?
Yep.
He's ready.
Got your gloves on, ready to roll.
Yep.
Jackson the Giant. He's ready to light him up, boys. Ready to put the hurting on them, boys.
I can't wait, man. You got to definitely take some videos, brother. I'm ready to see him play.
Yeah, I am too. He got in a lot of trouble playing flag because he's hurting kids. So this ought to be right up his alley.
The slime show hats, we've got some ordered right now, and myself, we will be definitely making some of them on the machine here as soon as we get some green ones in.
So Draco wants to know: do you have to track against the wind in current for planer boards to plane out? It helps, but here's the thing: in a lake, it makes a difference whether you're going with or against the wind. If you've got light wind, it doesn't make much of a difference. But if you got good wind and you try to go against the wind, your fish production will take a nosedive. And the reason being is because fish orient into the wind. It's the same with current. They orient into current. And if you want to present your bait in a natural presentation, you're bringing it to the fish. So the fish is setting up. He knows the bait's coming to him. He's going to hit that bait. If he's turned this way and it's coming back this way, the bait's not coming to him in a natural way. You'll still catch some fish, but it won't be like it would if you're presenting it to him in a natural manner. And you'll miss a lot of your biggest fish. They won't even touch it because they just want it a certain way. If you don't give it to them that way, they ain't biting. They'll just let it go. So light wind in a lake, minus 10 miles an hour, you can go either way. 10 miles an hour and above, go with the wind. Makes a huge difference. And the reason I know is I've done it both ways. I'll go one way, I'll turn around and go the other. I'll catch 10 fish with the wind, turn around, go the other way, I'll catch 3. So you'll catch 3 times as many if you present it naturally to them. Billy says his favorite speed is 0.3 to 0.5 when the wind is 6 to 10. He catches fish. All right, I like that. 0.3, 0.5. If the wind is 0.3, if I'm going 0.3, it's generally I'd say 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour wind or less, or it's really cold. And if it's 10 mile an hour and it's cold, I'll go 0.4, maybe 0.5 even, but usually 0.4. In the heat of the summer, I'll go up to 0.7. I'll even go faster if nothing else is working. The more wind you have, generally the faster that you can go in a lake. 0.7, 0.8 in Oklahoma, says Kelby Saki.
Micah Burkhart in the house. How are y'all doing tonight? Jamie, I need some 8-ounce weights. Yes, brother, you are right. I will get you some, brother. Congratulations on the new rod, too, man. That thing looks good, brother.
Yeah, heck of a rod, man. I know that thing's going to sell like hotcakes, so I think it's cool you're donating some of that to the vets.
Yes.
I think that's going to be a good deal. Okay, Killer B says leader length really makes a difference on some days. Chris told me this, and he tried it, and it will get you bit. No doubt. There is no doubt about that. There's a lot of variables on what makes you change the leader length. This year, I don't really need them too short. You can go longer on leaders. Hell, I'll catch some of my fish on the surface. Even when I'm in 16 feet.
Chris, speaking of that, I wish last week I should have showed everybody some of the different lengths I was using last week, and which rigs they were actually being more called off of last week. Last week, we were actually catching more fish on the little bit longer leaders last week than we were the shorter ones.
I caught a lot of fish off that. I
The
don't.
Jesse, the,
No,
we
no, the rocket rig. The
oh, the
rocket,
Carol. Okay. Oh, yes.
and also the real the one that's real inexpensive.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. We could never figure out the name of it, but
Yes.
I was surprised because it was out producing the expensive rigs.
Was it one of these right here?
That was it.
Yeah. And we were catching a lot of ours off the Jesse James rig and the red one, like this one, the same one like this.
Mine were coming off that green.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. To me, the color doesn't matter.
Yeah. No.
It's sound. They like a certain sound.
Yeah.
And a certain. I mean, and then they want whatever's dangling on that damn hook.
Yeah, it was weird. I know James was like, "Holy crap, man! These two rigs right here is what the length was like I said a little bit longer, and man, we were that's the ones they wanted last week."
Dragging 5 to 15 feet of water at 0.3 to 0.7 has been doing him good here in Texas. Bite's been good between 6 and 9 a.m. I'm going to have to agree with Vess on whatever he says about catfishing because that boy, he's a fish catching fool. But, yeah, that's going to be typical for this time of year. You're going to have a real early morning bite and an evening bite. And, I mean, you catch them at night as well, but for guys that are fishing, usually it's going to be early morning, early evening. After about 10 a.m., it's over.
Yep.
And then in the night, I mean, you saw us fish the other night. We did our very best fishing right as it was getting dark. Right before dark, we were lighting them up. Once it got dark, it got pretty slow. We were still on fish. They just weren't biting like they were right before dark. That's just that magic hour and a half typically produces the best bite this time of year.
Chris, we were talking about short leaders, long leaders. That's why we like this right here, where we can adjust it up and down. We had some that was adjusted, away from it, and then we had some that was adjusted a little bit closer.
Yeah, so when you adjust it longer, that puts your bait close down by the bottom.
Yeah.
That's going to catch your more lethargic fish. Ones that don't want to really chase something. You put it in front of their face and they're like, I got to have that. Jamie, what's the biggest fish you seen come out of Santee Cooper?
Well, I was down in a tournament one day. We saw one that was 103, and then the same team had one that was 106.
Dang, that's insane. 200 pounders.
Yep.
That's what you call being lucky. I know there's skill involved, but to catch 200s, that's pretty damn lucky.
Yeah. Now, I can tell you, I mean, that team might just catch 2 or 3 a tournament, but I know exactly what they're doing, and they're being they're smart how they're doing it. But yeah. I know there's bigger fish that has come out of there, but out of a tournament and actually seeing it, that was the 2 biggest.
What's up, bro? Welcome in. We do well together. Jamie's my brother. We've been good friends for a while now. We're teammates. I wish we lived closer so we could be fishing partners, but we jive real well. We talk every day on the phone. We have a very similar nature. Both enjoy. We have the same passion for fishing, but we like it. We like helping other guys. So,
that's why we do what we do on the show is we love sharing the information and hoping that, y'all can take that and go out and apply it to your fishing trips and hopefully, increase your fish that you normally catch.
Yeah, there's nothing better than hearing somebody say, "Hey, man, I've been using the stuff I've learned from you and your your guests, and it's been working. I'm having my best year yet." And we hear it a lot, so I
Yep.
think it's cool. That's feather in my cap to try to help my friends. I consider everybody that follows, and joins us on the shows has become our friends and family, and I like to see my people doing good. So I know how painful losing can be when you're getting your ass kicked. So I if I can try to help my friends iron out some of those hills and flatten some of those hills and straighten some curves, I'm going to do it.
Not only that, man, is everything we talk about and we show, just like here at Carolina Lake Wakes, y'all guys get to see it in action and actually say, man, the stuff actually works that y'all are showing us, and that's what we enjoy. Basically showing you the different setups that we offer, myself and Chris, and seeing it working. So
West Texas Cat Addict says, Chris, you still running the 10s. And, this time of year I downsize. I run 8s. I run smaller baits. I run 8s because our fish are feeding on threadfin for the majority of because our gizzard shad's spread out. It's not like in the winter where they're really grouped up and they're feeding on those. Now, they will feed on smaller sand bass, but there's there's a million of those little ones in there. So this time of year, I use smaller baits. I think fish are keyed in more on smaller baits this time of year. So that's why I do that. I will always throw a couple of good sized baits because it's just in my nature. But smaller baits this time of year is going to put, for us Texas guys, is what's going to catch the fish. And, I put the 8-aught hooks on because they're small enough to catch 3 or 4 5-pound fish, and they're big enough to catch any fish. Now, you will lose some of your biggest, baddest fish, but we just don't catch a lot of those. So I'm willing for that trade-off this time of year. Now, October 1st, I'm putting 10s and 12s on everything. It's like clockwork for me because I know October, as soon as we get that first rain, I'll start catching big fish, and I will catch big fish every single trip until April. We don't have a single trip all winter where we won't catch big fish. So I know October 1st, when that first rain comes, it's like clockwork. It's time to catch big fish. So I know when that thing's coming, I'm having my big baits, my big hooks on and ready for them.
And last week I was running 10s and 12s last week. We're using it.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't understand that Texas is different.
Yeah,
I don't know why Texas is so different in the summer. I mean, we still catch some big fish, and I fished with Jeff last year this same time, and I mean we caught one that was 50, a 40, a couple of 30s. This time of year, but that is not typical. You may have one trip in the summer that's like that. You may catch a 30 or so here and there. It's just there's no real way to specifically target big fish every trip right now in Texas, or else somebody would do it. I know all the top anglers, and they ain't all catching big fish every trip. Blues being mean to Gordon David Phillips right now, and they're being mean to a lot of people. The eaters are, plentiful. It's not. I can go out and catch 20 eaters, but it's just not going to give you that feeling of catching a 50 or. Mosley said, "We them boys, Jackson." Yeah, he likes them Cowboys, so. Gordo Phillips says, yeah, he's a little badass. We're working on him. We're making sure he's all boy. So
Oh, he is, bro. He is.
I'm just getting caught up, man. I got way behind.
I was trying to get through and see if we had want to be outdoors. What's say, buddy? Welcome in, brother.
All right, I'm gonna scan real quick through here.
All right, guys. Yeah, if y'all have any questions, man, go ahead. This part of the show, man. Maybe we could answer a couple more questions if you have.
Kitty Fisherman wants to know how can he drift up from the bank? Laugh my ass off. Well, actually, that was very popular for a while. It's balloon fishing. It's the same thing as drift fishing. You just use a balloon. You get out where the wind is carried away from where you are, and you let your baits drag with the balloon, and the balloon drags your bait rather than the boat. And I mean, that's the way that a lot of guys do it. And I mean, a lot of guys still do it that way with balloons. It became popular in the ocean, but a lot of places in the ocean, they've outlawed it. From what I understand, it's still legal in the lake. So you can balloon fish, but they really shied away from it in the ocean because I think it was killing turtles and it was winding up in fish's gullets and stuff and killing fish. So they've outlawed it in a lot at the coast, but you can still balloon fish on most lakes, freshwater lakes that I know of.
It's a very good technique for flathead fishing also. It really is.
Yep, you can still use dragging weights from the bank. We got a lot of guys that use dragging weights from the bank, especially if you're fishing around a lot of rocks or a lot of timber and you're losing all your rigs. It'll help you get a lot of your stuff back. A lot of guys say, oh, I don't want to spend the money up front. I'm like, well, how many rigs did you lose? What did all that cost you? Because, I mean, you lose 3 or 4 rigs, you paid for a dragging weight.
Yep.
You know, I mean, what's the
value
of not having to tie on 5 rigs on that same rod in a night?
That's what we come up with the river weights, man. We tell everybody, you know, when you throw that lead out, how it just buries itself behind the structure and stuff. But when you throw this out and you go to bring it back in, it's going to help you jump over that structure. You're going to lose a lot less. So definitely check out these river weights. That's a lot of what they're for also, from the bank fishing or anything.
So Micah says he uses 38 to 40-inch leader all year, but adjusts the float depending on what the fish want. I'm similar to that unless I'm dragging really shallow. So in the spring, most of my leaders get shortened up in the spring because if you got because I'm up in the stump field a lot. That's just where the really big fish are. They're in the inlets right around the river mouth. I get up in there. It's really stumpy. If you got big, long, a lot of line behind your you got a lot of line behind your float, you're going to lose a lot of stuff on stumps because your hook, it doesn't matter what dragging weight you got. If your hook's getting hung on stuff, you're losing rigs constantly up in those types of areas. And if you want to catch the biggest fish in the lake, you got to be up in that stuff. You know, generally late February, March, April, that's where we're at up in those areas. And that's why I'll shorten my leader and I'll put my hook right next to my float. So there's it's not getting hung on stumps as much. It's just over time. That's the way I've done it. Certain time of year, I shorten them up like that. Paula, welcome in. Paula. Had Paula on the show a couple times. Those were great shows. Had a great time with Paula.
These are basically.
He caught him in 15 to 20 feet Saturday on my lake, and that's where we caught him the last 2 trips. 16 feet was the magic depth, and we caught some shallower and some a little bit deeper, but we hammered him at 16 feet. So,
basically 13 and a half inches on these want to be outdoors. They're right there close to 13 and a half inches on their new river weights.
Yep, a lot of people loving those river weights. I don't use them. They're not for me. But for guys that are dragging in current, they say they love them. And a lot of guys are using them for anchoring in current.
Yeah.
So that they can drag, and then if they see somewhere they want to anchor, they can anchor without having to switch out weights.
We use them quite a bit anchor fishing, and a lot of our bank fishermen are using them also, a lot of them.
Paula says only late afternoon and night fishing for her in the heat until the heat goes away. The doctor's orders. Well, that's pretty smart, regardless of the doctor, because it's too damn hot in the daytime. Fish aren't biting anyway.
Yes, they're all right there close to the same length, brother, pretty much.
Welcome in, Matt. Welcome in, bro. Appreciate you, brother. I'll send you something. I got Jamie going to be working on some gear. I'll send out any of my channel members free gear. So I'm not making anything off of it. I just give it right back to you. But I appreciate the support, man. Make sure you get something cool. Give you a Slime Show hat or a El Gato Azul TV hat. It's going to be a Richardson 112 like this. They're badass.
Yep. These are the new camouflage ones that we have now right here, guys. Also let y'all know the new camo. So
yeah, those look good.
Yep. We just come out with those. And we'll have some of the Slime Show hats back in stock here real soon.
Juan, that's the reason why me and Jamie started doing it. We laid out a plan of what we wanted to accomplish out of the show. And the very first thing was want to help our friends and our people catch fish. We want to help them improve. Anything that we can try to help, any type of guys that we can get on that are willing to share to try to help our guys become better anglers. I know everything that I learned from somebody else for the most part. I mean, obviously you have to go do it on the water, but most of the tips and tricks I learned were from other guys, guide buddies, old timers. I learned a lot of my stuff from old timers.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to grow up with guides and stuff that lived on my street that were willing to teach me when it was a secret type deal. So I appreciate that, buddy. I try to help. I try to give back more than I take. Infamous says, follow, fellows. What's up, guys? Welcome in, bro.
What's up, brother?
And John Wayne says, I'm just going to follow Jamie with the Jell-O Kool-Aid chicken. Hope to see you soon, bro. Make sure you bring your grill, baby.
That's right. That's it. Oh, man, the Jell-O chicken.
Yep. You can go over to Operation Vets with Nets. You can get you a badass jersey. I don't have one on me tonight, but you can get you a badass jersey, custom jersey. They've got some new swag there. The F. Paylakes jersey. You can get a Operation Vets with Nets hat. Or outfitting the second wheelchair boat. Need all the help we can get over there. Next week we're gonna be on the show. We're gonna be doing some giveaways. I'm gonna be giving away a bunch of stuff to raise money for Operation Vets with Nets. I haven't told Jamie yet, but he's gonna be doing the same thing. We're gonna help. We're gonna figure out how a way to get the Operation Vets with Nets linked over there, so we can help raise some money for Rich and the Operation Vets with Nets organization. Help get that boat outfitted and up and running, so that we can get some more vets out on the water. So
Now, I'm gonna tell you guys, if you haven't ordered one of those the pay late shirts, definitely get you some.
I got a jersey coming. They're slick, man. They look good. They look really good. So Jamie hooked him up with our jersey guy. I'm excited. The jerseys fit great. I know, because I got a Carolina Lightweights one, but Rich did a great job designing this one. It's gonna be sweet. So West Texas Cat Addict says he agrees with Juan. Guys have taught a lot, and it's much appreciated, Jamie. So
that's what we're here for. That's what we are here for, man. That's what we like to hear. Glad we can just give back a little bit.
So Jason said he's got 2 shirts coming and just sent him $333.33 the other day, last payday, to Operation Vets with Nets. That's awesome, buddy.
And it is.
I think if we can get more people to try to do one of these little, at least a one-time donation. I know times are tough for a lot of people, but it's good to give back when you can. So if you're able, we're going to try to raise some money next week for Operation Vets with Nets. We'll do some donation stuff. We'll try to get some people to buy some shirts. We're going to have probably some codes and stuff we'll give out for the show, to go over there and entice people to go get some gear from Operation Vets with Nets.
I know Rich and all of them, man, they've got some cool stuff coming out, man. It's just amazing at some of the nice looking shirts and jerseys. It really is.
All right, I'm way behind. I'm sorry, guys. It's the chat's freaking flowing tonight. I can't keep up.
I'm like you, man. I look down and all of a sudden I see a blue arrow just show me.
I got 40 comments behind.
Let's see here.
Chris Wheeler said a lot of guys use balloon for striper. Well, a lot of guys use them for catfish here in Texas from the bank. Especially in the winter when they're trying to get their baits out deep. There's no way you can hit deep water from our shores. So a lot of guys will use that wind, get out on a point. And they'll let that wind carry their balloon out into deep water. And then they got it rigged where it's almost like a planer board. When you pop that thing, the balloon comes off and it drops the bait down. Now it's littering. You're littering a balloon when you fish that way. So, but hey.
But there is ways, man. If you take that thing and you tighten a knot on your line, try to get it as much back as possible.
Catfish Junkie says he lost a 60-pound blue right at the boat last week. He'll be back there Friday. That happens. A lot of times you got a fish that's skin hooked. You get a chance to look at them right before they rip that skin hook out. All I can say is, if you got a really big fish on, bring him to the boat slow. As you get him close to the boat, loosen up your drag. That'll help you catch some skin hooked fish. Because really big fish can rip a skin hook out just like that. As soon as they see you, it's over. They'll rip that thing right out. So, age-old question, rattles or no rattles? For him, he hasn't seen a difference. Well, I've been using rattles for about 15 years, and I've brought a ton of fish to the boat with just the rattle in their mouth. So if rattles didn't work, I would have never done any. I've never brought any of those fish to the boat with a rattle. So I'm 100% convinced with rattles. I've had guys that come on my boat that say, I don't believe in rattles. Can I put my rods on my side of the boat? I'm like, yeah, but you're going to limit what we catch, and we'll catch every single fish off the rattles. Now, would we have caught fish if we didn't have any rattles on? I'd say we probably would. But I know that they were choosing to go over there and hit the ones with the rattles rather than the ones that didn't have rattles. So does it make a difference? I'd say yes. I've got days where I use an electronic rattle where I'm going up against all these other guys that are using regular rattles and all this, and it'll be no wind. And I'll say, they'll fishing right next to me, and they're like, "Man, it sound like y'all did insanely good." I'm like, "Yeah, we did. How'd y'all do? We didn't catch a single fish. How'd you do?" Well, we caught 700 pounds of trophies, and all I can say is what I was using was different than what they were using, and I believe in rattles because they've been working for me for a long time. I was catching fish before the rattles, but my testing phase is way in the past on those. There's no question in my mind they work.
Yeah. Now,
James, how do you feel, bro?
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna use some rattles, man. Now, from what Chris was saying, I've got some rattles that's not as loud on some of my rods, and I've got some that's louder on some of my rods. I've got some that has a deeper sound to it. Some days they like the louder rattles. Some days they like the deeper sounding rattles. And actually, if you saw last week, I got a couple rods that didn't have no rattles. But if you paid attention to the fish that we caught last weekend, more come off of the rattles than they did the ones without the rattles. So as we showed this rig here that Chris was using, it's a little bit deeper sounding rattle. He was catching a lot of fish off of it. I had the same exact rig on one of my poles, except for the only difference was it was red. The color really is not going to matter too much. It was a deeper sounding. But the same night, I also had this rig that has a louder rattle with the blade right here that was just doing just as good. Some people believe in different things. I myself believe in louder rattles, quieter rattles, but I like my rattles.
I'll tell you what, that spinner rig, when you said, "Hey man, what do you think about this?" I'm like, well, there's only one way to find out. I know for one thing, a lot of guys catch catfish off a spinner bait. So what's attracting them? Obviously, it's that spinner, right?
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't it work for catfishing? Now, I know that thing's not doing this when you're dragging it, but it is flopping around. So I'm like, let's try it. And I'll test it. We tested it. We busted. I had 3 different guys on the boat 3 weeks in a row. Got them all fish over 50 pounds. Every one of the fish that went over 50 come off that spinner rig. So is it by chance? Maybe. But all I know is our biggest fish come off that spinner rig 3 weeks in a row. Good enough for me.
And Chris, that's like, we got a lot of people that prefers the 2 blade over the single big blade. Myself, I have, of course, I got them both, man. I love them both. They sell just as equal, but this is another unique way where you got 2 blades. It's a smaller that's working the same exact way. Something that a lot of people is not doing.
So the spinner, it does make a little noise because it's rattling against beads, but it makes vibration. More than noise. It's making a vibration. Now the rattle is making a noise. And if you'll go listen to what a bait fish, a sunfish, something like that sounds like underwater being predated by scaly fish, it sounds just like a rattle. Now, some of them sound a little different than others, depending on how loud the lake is that day from wave action and wind and all that. It makes a difference on which rattle you use. But a predated fish sounds identical to what a rattle sounds like in the water. And that's why the rattle works. It's not just, oh, what is this? It sounds like a bait fish. And catfish, they use, what people don't realize is catfish use sound and vibration is their number one sense. Guys, when the rattle first came out, they said catfish don't listen, can't hear. They just fish off of smell. Well, that's not true. I mean, the new studies come out say that catfish use sound more than anything. So they're coming to what they're being inquisitive on what they think something's going on. I'm going to go over here and check it out. Then they see this big bait come fluttering by that looks injured, and they're like, I got to have it. Something's chasing that. It's predating that. I'm going to get it. It's like a cat and a string.
Hey, Richard, if you go over to Carolina Lake Weights, they are the striker rigs. You'll be able to go through and see the name for each color that's on there, but they're the striker rigs. On the one that I showed you like this. Now, the ones with the blade is the Jesse James
Outlaw.
The Outlaw rigs. You got the regular version with the two blades. The 2.0 is the one big blade.
So Wheeler says, I use spinners. And the guys that come on my boat this winter, they're all using spinners now too. And they're like, I got to have me some of them spinners because it's obvious what's going on here. There's something going on. There's something to it. Now, would we have caught that fish without the spinner? We might have. I don't know. But I know for certain that when we started testing those spinners, all of our big fish, and I mean every one of our best fish of the day, come off that spinner rig. And every time we'd reel one in, my buddy'd say, looky there. The spinner. We didn't have a name for it at the time. Looky there. Look at there. It's the spinner rig.
Yep.
And now they're all wanting to use them. So
Chris actually has proof of all this. If you'll go back and look at some of his videos of the pictures and stuff where they have caught the fish off of them, you can definitely see them. And a lot of our lives that we do, we show the spinners as we catch the fish. So definitely. Last night, nice one that Rebecca caught last night come off of that same rig.
My buddy Jesse Campbell, he's on our team. He's like, what's that? I'm like, well, you're about to find out, aren't you? And he fishes for blues all the time. We got him his PB come off the spinner rig. So all I can say is it works. And now, it's not the only rig I tie on. I tie on a whole variety of rigs. I'm dragging a bunch of different rigs. Now, that might not be how some guys like to do it, but that's how I like to do it. It works good for us.
Yeah.
We catch a ton of records on every freaking lake we fish. And it's because we use a variety of rigs. We hit areas where we know that big fish are ambushing prey. The way I'm presenting the bait is as an injured bait fish. And I think that's why we're having the success doing what we're doing. The rattle is part of it's the sound of a bait fish being predated. And I think that spinner rig is the sound of a fish trying to get away. So it just gets their attention.
And that's just like these guys. If you go on our Facebook page, you see these shockwave rigs right here. Matter of fact, they're sold out right this second, but I will get some more made up. You will see some nice fish being caught in Santee Cooper or on the rivers off of these rigs right here also. And like you said, they float, they spin. So, it's something, man, that I'm telling you, it works.
So Richard says he's pulled hooks off of rattle traps and used them, and they worked well. And, that's how we all started using rattles 15 years ago. We would get Zara spooks at garage sales because you could you go to a garage sale, it'd have just tackle boxes of stuff that guys no longer wanted. You could buy all this gear. We would go get those Zara spooks, and we would cut the hooks off and use them as floats. And I've got buddies that are like, well, if that works, why can't we put lipped crankbaits and stuff on there and maybe get this? And so I got buddies that still do that. They take bass lures with lipped crankbaits. They cut the hooks off and they use those, and like, man, you'd be surprised at how good these crankbaits are working.
There it is right there, man. There it is right there.
Yep. So, when we were using those rattles, guys laughed at us. I mean, we would get laughed at. But guys, don't be afraid to try something just because somebody else isn't using it. Just try it. You never know what's going to work, what's not going to work. I had a buddy that's like, hey, I've been putting these saltwater teasers on my rigs. This was about 10 years ago. My buddy Jimmy Hendricks, he's like, man, you got to try some of these saltwater teasers. And for the longest time, I just kept them a secret. And I'm like, all right, well, these teasers work good. And I don't put them on all my rigs, but I'll put them on 2 to 4 rigs. And I told Jamie, he's like, well, what do you think about trying some new rigs? I'm like, let's put a teaser rig out there, And, so don't be afraid to try things. A lot of stuff that we're using in catfishing came from the saltwater fishing, and we've just adapted what they've done, what's working in saltwater. A lot of that stuff works on catfish. So spinners, teasers, tassels, rattles, all that stuff.
And that's why you see us offer so many different style rigs here at Carolina Lake Weights, because it all works. Everything we offer, we've caught fish off of.
Wheeler says he's been using small salmon flashers. And I think the flasher is similar to a teaser, right? I mean, it's like a saltwater teaser. It's like a what I call a teaser. It's like a jig skirt. It's a mylar jig skirt that they put on saltwater lures to gives it a little bit of extra action. It's like makes your bait. You got a piece of bait, then you put the teaser right over it. So you got your bait. You got a teaser that's like fluttering around your bait, right? And
I've got one somewhere around here. I've showed it to you.
John Wayne says he didn't even know you guys had rigs like that. Made a couple of rigs with old blades off spinners. Yeah, they work great. And we started with little spinners, and I'm like, well, the little spinners work good. And Jamie's like, let's put some freaking willow blades on there. I'm like, hell, I mean, the little ones work good. The willow blades obviously not going to do this when you drag, but in my mind, it's doing like this. It's creating just a little bit of something. Flutter.
It has that flickering to it also.
Richard said, yeah, he agrees. Teasers are great, but now his secret is out. I've let go most of my secrets at certain points in the show with the teasers, the spinners, the electronic bait calls. I use all that stuff.
I was actually trying to find my teaser rig, Chris.
I hid my rigs for years, and Jamie's like, "Wait, what do you got?" He's like, he texts me while I'm on a live stream. He's like, "Hey, you're showing off your deal there." I'm like, "These are my people. Hell with it."
Yeah. That's why we've opened up, man, guys. We're not keeping those secrets from you. We're letting it out there what we do. We want to see y'all succeed and catch a lot of fish and catch nice fish.
Yeah, at this point, I think all our people are turning the fish loose. I'm willing to tell guys, even on my home lake, I'll tell you exactly where I caught them. If I know you're turning them loose, if you got the same respect for fish that I do, what do I care? I know I've caught fish that I caught the week before. I caught them the very next week. So they are. It's not like, oh, now that I can't catch that fish. You can go right back out and catch that same fish. I don't have a problem helping my people, my friends.
Yeah. That's what we're here for, man.
Yeah, give them a shot. I mean, all you can do is experiment. I mean, catfishing is moving so fast. I know a lot of the old schoolers say you don't need rattles, you don't need any of this stuff. You don't need any of this stuff, but technically, you don't need a fishing rod either. I mean, before fishing rods, they were using yo-yos and hand lines, and they got mad when guys started using fishing rods and reels. So, I mean, it's just a progression, and if it's going to help you catch more fish, why not? Why not implement it? You know.
And guys like myself, Chris, talking. I mean, I myself going to start doing a lot more lives. Y'all guys get to see a lot already on TikTok. We're going to start putting more stuff on YouTube. So you guys going to get to see this stuff in action even more. You know, we're going to start turning it loose where you can see it even more.
Cat Addict wants to know, what about the stinger fly? Any effectiveness to it? And I would say definitely. Now, I don't use a stinger fly because the stinger fly to me is getting hung up in the areas I'm fishing. If I have something that's dangling way back behind my float, it just increases my hang-ups tenfold. So I typically have so a lot of guys will put that stinger fly, it's a teaser fly. I don't call it a stinger fly. The stinger is in the ass end of your bait.
Yeah.
To me, that's a teaser. It's just something that entices fish. It's like, what's that? Chasing that. Something chasing something. I got to go see what that is. And I know we'll catch some fish off of that teaser fly, but usually I think that gets the attention of whatever you're trying to catch.
I've got one I haven't showed nobody yet that I've been kind of playing with. It's actually like the fly, but yet I'll just say it's actually a little small blue crab, but it's a teaser. You know, I'm actually working on teasing that. Been working on that for a while in the area that I fish, and we've actually caught a lot of fish off of that rig. So that's something I'll probably bring on next week and show everybody. But you know, that brackish water that we've been talking about, you know, they've been doing real well in that style of fishing area. But
yeah, that's not the flasher, Chris. That I think what you're calling the flasher is a teaser. It just goes on your bait. That thing that Jamie's showing is it's like a trailer. It's like it trails your bait. You got that, like, it's like somebody said, it's like a stinger, but it's not on your bait. So it's
it's going to be probably about
It's like fishing for sand bass when you're running a swim bait, like a little soft plastic swim bait, and it's got a jig above it. So it's the opposite. Your bait's up here and your jig's below it. Yeah, you never know what works until you try it. And then you got to try it more than once and see if you can replicate your success. And, you know, success builds confidence. And when you have confidence, once you build the confidence, you know it works. I think that's a real key thing for fishermen is finding confidence in the equipment that you're using. And the only way to do that is to have success using it.
And thinking outside the box sometimes is not a bad thing. I mean, for sure, you got to try some stuff, work on it, see how it works for you, and thinking outside the box. I mean, really, myself and Chris, we beat ideas off each other all the time, but when we definitely show you it works, you know, we're happy to tell you about it and things like that.
What's up, Kevin? Yep. One thing, guys, you can be sure of is if Jamie's putting something out, I've done fished with it for 6 months probably, and we've decided this actually works. Is this an improvement? Is this something that's actually going to work? If not, we don't. It doesn't get put into the mix. But like those spinner rigs. I mean, that didn't take long at all to realize this damn thing works. I mean, not only does it works great. Wheeler said he just sent me a picture of the flasher. Let me go check it out.
Richard, she does, brother.
The flasher's like a little fluttering deal. I see. It's like a spoon. Can I show it, Chris?
Hey, Chris, before you show it, let me is it something? Hold on a second. Kind of like this.
Let me see. Similar.
Okay. Yep.
I would call that a spoon. This says an electronic embodied fish flasher. To me, it looks like a spoon. It's something that's going to add some action and some vibration to whatever you're using.
Yeah.
I would say that's similar to a spinner, what a spinner does. Spinners puts out vibration. I would say the flasher probably does the same. It says it's in the electronic boating department, but I don't think that's electronic. Yeah, okay. Chris says it goes on a swivel and each end spins. So it's putting off a vibration and a flash. They run 5 to 11 inches. Gotcha. Yeehaw, baby. Appreciate you, bro. Get paid. Woo! Yeah, it looks like a spoon, Richard, except it's an inline type deal rather than a terminal. It'd be an inline deal. It would go above your rig. It would be. I would say that probably goes in between your float and your hook. And Chris says some of them have electronic calls in them, which I have not seen. But for those that are in here with us, I'll tell you, I use an electronic bait call. And Jamie's smiling because, man, on a day where nobody else in the lake is catching fish, I've had epic trips, and I can only say I got to give it up to that bait call. It's Livingston Lures, electronic bait call, simulates bait fish being predated on a day where nobody else is catching fish. I've had so many epic days. You give them a try, guys. That is only for this room only. Let me see if I got any up here. I don't think I do. They're all on the boat. It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap, but what's the price you put on getting your ass kicked between or having an epic trip? So,
Yep, guys, that's special just for y'all.
that's something special just for y'all. I've been keeping that one tight with Jamie for about 3 years now, and I'm like, yeah, you don't push the button. It just when it goes underwater, it activates.
Yep.
And it'll last about a season, about for me a winter season. And it works on days where there is no wind and 90 and you go back to the dock and you talk to 9 other anglers and 3 of them are guides and they all got skunked and they say, man, it sounded like y'all were making a ruckus over there. Yeah, we smoked them. On those days, that electronic bait call is freaking game changer.
Your phone's going to light up with texts after the show, Chris.
So in the winter, when we got like an east front and there's no wind and it's like high pressure day, and those are the days typically most people get skunked, we smoke them every time. And I got to say, it's because fish think, what the hell's going on here? There's a school of fish over here going nuts. Let's go check it out, and then let's go get us whatever they're feeding on. Matt says Jamie has the look of stop talking, Chris. I've let that cat out of the bag a few times, and I know that I'm for certain. I've been on another fishing show where some of the top tournament guys in the country were on there, and they were saying, yeah, I just started using this. And then they realized I'm freaking letting the cat out of the bag, and they shut up in the middle of our stream. Didn't want to give out their secret, but I'm like, I know I'm from Texas. I know exactly what you're talking about. So Livingston Lures, guys, go Google electronic baits from Livingston Lures.
The website just lit up over there.
They ain't cheap, but man, what's the price of not getting your ass kicked on an east front day?
Yep. Tell them you heard it here, guys.
You can see when we didn't do a whole lot of live streaming this past year, but the year before, on days where the lake was glass, we had some of our absolute most epic trips you could ever freaking imagine. I mean, got 950 pounds one day, lake was glass. Got 850 pounds one day, lake was glass. And we caught every fish off that electronic call. So now they don't work, they're not as important on just a regular day, but on a day where the fish aren't really wanting to bite. Richard says he has a few. They are so. I'll say they are so good. On days with no wind, that's when they really come into play.
Yeah.
If you got wind and waves, the rattles do the trick. But on a day where there's no wind, no waves, your rattles aren't putting out much noise at all. It's just, especially on a silted bottom lake like we fish a lot. Going 0.3 miles an hour, you're just quiet. Let's see what the hell's going on out here. It sounds like a wild kid.
He's outside practicing, isn't he, Chris? Oh, man. But, yeah, guys, definitely I know we're getting close here towards the end of the show, man. Guys, go check us out. Carolina Lake Weights, man, we've got a lot of new stuff over there. And for a lot of the ones that hasn't been in here that doesn't know, everything from 3 ounce, 4 ounce, all the way up to a 10 ounce is completely lead now. The 2 ounces are staying the same for a little while longer, but everything from 3 ounce up to 10 ounce is completely lead now, rust free. So just some more of the improvements that we've made here at Carolina Lake Weights, and I can tell you since we've released them, they have been going like wildfire. So if anything says sold out, guys, shoot us a message. We'll get you taken care of. So
you got anything new coming out?
We got some more that's coming out real soon. We're not going to let that cat out of the bag just yet, but we do have some more new stuff coming out. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be we'll just leave it right there. We're working on, like I said, maybe a couple of more new rigs that we're still testing, but we got it all, guys, for sure.
We're gonna start going live again. I'm gonna start going live again on my fishing. So I haven't figured out what platform I'm gonna use. Probably gonna start going with TikTok.
Yeah, I've been
We
trying
used
to
to
talk
live stream every one of our fishing trips on YouTube. So
yeah, I've been talking Chris into trying to do some of them over here on TikTok. I know we do a lot of fishing over on TikTok. So definitely check
Matt
us
wants
out.
to know what's your Instagram, Jamie.
It's we got TikTok and Facebook, and go check us out on YouTube under Carolina Lake Weights is the name over there.
Yeah, we almost went a whole year without going live on our fishing.
Yeah, we have a lot of great we have a lot of great things over on TikTok. So definitely check us out over there, guys, for sure.
We're up to 2,100 subscribers on YouTube, which guys at YouTube know that's not easy to do. We haven't had one video that's gone. I mean, I think our best videos got like 5,000 views.
Yeah.
It ain't easy, man. Even though I think we catch as good a fish as anybody on YouTube. I mean,
hey, breaking news, Chris. Breaking news, brother. Mama's in the house. She just added slime show hats to the website. They came in. Mama's probably making them up as we speak. So
I had 3 or 4 guys have been wanting them. They're like, man, every time I hit the website, y'all say you got them. They're already gone. So
she's in there working. She's making them up undoubtedly right now. So guys, might want to head to I don't know how many she added or anything. So
they don't last long.
no.
Kevin Walter says his new Monster Cat catfishing hats that Jamie and Rebecca made are fire ×4.
Well, I tell you, man, we really appreciate and we love doing their stuff. We've got a couple other partners that we're getting ready to work with, Chris. You've got some of the rod holders on your boat right now. So
yeah.
I ain't gonna say nothing, but yeah, man.
That's good. I love seeing all my teams working together and trying to help each other. I think that's awesome, man.
Yep. So we love all them guys for sure, man. We were waiting until he gets those hats. We didn't want to show them. We were going to let him do that and stuff like that, but they turned out excellent. So, guys, go definitely grab you a couple of those hats also. What?
Let me finish up on the Lake Living side real quick. It's funny. It's good stuff.
Oh, Richard, something else. Did you see that one, Chris? Richard said, okay, Rebecca, thanks. I'll be a broke son of a you-know-what by Friday.
Oh, man. Fishing be expensive. But, hey, whatever, floats your boat. I mean, Guys like, hey, you gonna get that? I'm like, yeah, whatever it takes, man. I just got me 4 new rods. I'm trying to keep my rods new each year. So I got 4 of these bad boys that are going on the boat. And I got 4 more that I'll be probably replacing too. So keep them fresh and looking good, boys.
And guys, for all the ones that haven't seen it, these are the new logos for all the new bags now. The 3-ounce logos that's coming on the 3-ounce drifting weights. This is a new look that Mama or Rebecca, Mama, has come up with. The see-through decals.
Yeah, those look really good.
And
Really
here is your 4-ounce.
Yeah, I like that.
And your 2-ounce also. Let me see if I have a 2-ounce. Yes, your 2-ounce will also have a whole new look. Also,
I'm gonna have to do some giveaways for all my old Gen 2s, man, so I can get all brand new weights.
yeah, Chris. This is all orders that's going out. The whole floors. These are the new 4-ounce right here, man. Lots more flexibility in these. Like I said, never rust. Got the same look. They work even better than before, guys. Lot more. Like I said, there's your green right there, brother. I
Yeah,
can tell you these don't last long. A lot more flexibility than ever
they
before.
last a long time. They don't last long on the website.
No, they don't. That's why I said
Gen 1. I still got Gen 1s from 2.5 years ago, still running.
you know, we said when we were doing this, man, if we build these things almost to proof, we won't never sell none. But I tell you, man, we hear a lot of good things about it, and we're just going to get better from here. It's really going to. We got, like I said, some more new stuff coming that we're not going to let out yet. So we're going to have a lot to offer.
I'm gonna probably go through all my gear this week. I'm gonna find out what all I got that I could part with before the season, before our big fish season kicks off. And I'm gonna probably figure out a way how we can raise some money for Operation Vets with Nets on our next week's show. I'm hoping we can raise some money. I'm hoping all our guys will will chip in somehow and buy some product and maybe just donate. We'll do some giveaways for people that donate. We'll get, I'll make sure you're going to get some good stuff. That's the idea. So next week's show is going to be Operation Vets with Nets. We're going to have some of the chapter leads for the states on. We're going to have Rich, the CEO, head of the organization. Mosley said he'll donate a trip or something. That's awesome. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yes, thank you. For sure.
Bruce says, I'll take anything you don't need, Mr. Chris. All right, Bruce. What I'll probably do is next week on the show I'll give away a bunch of stuff, and whatever you donate, I'll make sure you get that amount in product from me. So I'll basically match whatever money-wise you donate with product to you. Hopefully we can raise some money and try to help Rich get the boat rigged up. If nothing else, we'll have fun,
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well,
trying to get through chat, make sure we haven't missed anything. Looks like we've hit everything. So, guys, like I want to say, man, if you don't have us on YouTube at Carolina Lake Weights, go check us out. Watch a video, leave a comment. Go check us out on TikTok, Carolina Lake Weights, and definitely go check out Chris's channel.
Yeah,
For
go
sure.
check it out. Elgato Azul TV. We've finally hit over 2,000. We've grown a lot last year, but just a lot from you guys, from the slime show, from having cool guests, good guests on. We are going to get back into the live streams because that's kind of what got me where I'm at, is people seeing me fish, and I have a lot of fun doing it. I like. It's probably more learning from guys watching me do what we do than actually me and Jamie talking about it, which is, what got me to be friends with a lot of you guys was through our live fishing. So we're going to get back to doing that. And just got to figure out which platform I want to use. I haven't done a whole lot of TikTok. I got 1,600, so I can go live on it. Just got to do it, man.
Richard, thank you, brother. I see he said Rebecca, he made his order. So thank you, Richard, for that too, brother. I know, like I said, them slime show hats will not last probably through the night.
Bruce says the fishing industry does more for the veterans than the government does. I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah.
I think things will change if we can get the right people and, in place. I know a lot of guys that are veterans have complained about what's going on the last 4 years. We won't get into the politics of it, but it is what it is. Hopefully things will change. Bill says playing golf is expensive and boring. Whatever curls your hair, I guess.
I can say I used to hit a lot of windows when I used to play golf. So, I mean, it was expensive for sure.
Rebecca says, thanks, Richard. And she's coming out to pack your gear right now.
Yep, she'll probably be coming through the door right here. We'll work all night to make sure everybody's stuff gets out. Paul, thank you for your order too, brother. I saw you just say you ordered one.
Chris says, looking forward to next week. Yeah, it's going to be Operation Vets with Net show. We're going to try to raise money. I'm going to go ahead and probably schedule the show tomorrow. I got to make a thumbnail for it, but I'm going to get it scheduled so that our teammates can share it out. And, I don't generally get our guys to do any of that sharing out stuff, but we got Carolina Lake Wakes teammates. We got Operation Vets with Nets teammates. We're going to try to get everybody to share the show out so we can get people in to help try to raise some money for Operation Vets with Nets. Great cause. I'm proud to be part of the organization. I'm also not just a captain, but I'm on the board of directors. So it is something that I'm proud of. I'm passionate about. I'm not a vet. I just, I want to give back, and there's really no better way to give back in the fishing industry than through, helping our vets. So,
Chris, there's only 2 more hats left, brother. Out of all those hats, there's only 2
where
left.
the balloons come from?
Dude, I have no idea. I've been seeing that. I guess it's something new to Facebook, or I don't know.
Where's the balloon? Can somebody help us out? How are those balloons going off on Jamie's picture? We saw that a couple shows ago, and I'm like, that's something new. I have not seen that, but
wow.
Jeff said drag boards and you'll never be bored. You'll be busy.
Peace sign.
Oh,
Peace sign.
The peace sign?
Yeah, you gotta do it like this.
Oh, there it is, Chris.
And then give it a thumbs up. You gotta do it sideways. No, they're thumbs.
Oh, there it is.
It should throw you a thumbs up. Do 2 peace signs.
Give me some thumbs up. That doesn't work. What are you talking about?
What? Man, Chris, we must be getting old. We don't know all this new technology.
Look at these 2 idiots.
Oh my goodness. People are like, man,
Kids
what are
taught her how to do it, but it's not working. You didn't give a peace sign a while ago.
I no. Is it somebody else that has to give the peace sign? And
I have no idea. It's not working, Rebecca. So 2 birds. What does 2 birds get you? I've been watching Eastbound and Down, man.
oh, there it goes, Chris. It did it on my end.
It gets you a peace sign. No, like this.
Mine's broken, bro.
Now give 2 thumbs ups. Like this. No,
Oh, there it goes, Chris.
Jimmy, do it like this. Will it not do it?
Oh, there it goes.
What
Now
the
just thumb
hell?
it down.
Somebody give me.
And what was the other one? I can't remember the other one.
Come on.
You didn't do it like that. Boo. It's not doing it. It's not reading my.
Oh, there it goes, Chris.
What is that?
It's confetti because we're having a party. See if it'll do it again.
Mine's broken.
Mine is 2 now.
Oh, there it goes. Wow, I learn something new every day.
Wrong fingers.
Here we go, Bruce.
Shit.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate everybody stopping in. I'll schedule this show early. I'd appreciate if you guys could help us spread the word about next week's show, Operation Bets with Nets. We're going to try to raise some money. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be a lot of awesome dudes on the show. Jamie, had a great show tonight. Appreciate
Hey, bro,
it.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. And I also want to say there's only 2 hats it looks to be left out of all those hats.
Hey,
There goes-
it's the balloons.
There goes the balloons again. So thank you all so much for all the love and support here at Carolina Lake Weights. Thank you so much for all the love that y'all show myself and Chris. I know we hope y'all definitely have happy Wednesday nights, coming in and spending your time with us. Look forward to it. I know I do every Wednesday night. So I want to say thank you guys for definitely always supporting what we're doing here.
Yep, appreciate you guys. Most of y'all have become good friends to me and Jamie. Any of y'all ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll help you as best I can. And I know Jamie's the same type of guy as me. So y'all guys are family and friends. We'll get y'all next week on the show. So
That's
Jamie,
it. Guys, peace out. More balloons.
as Kenny Powers would say, you're fucking out. Tight lines. God bless. Azul
Later,
out.
y'all.